This is spiritual self-care. And if you're joining us now, we are going to do a meditation. We're going to wait a minute actually until our new friend joins us. Hi Nita, welcome. You want to unmute and just say hello since this is your first time?
Yeah, good afternoon. Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Where are you located?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah,
Great. Well, it's really good to have you here.
sure. My name is Nita Patel. I work for Amicus Therapeutics in patient advocacy, but I also have a daughter with a rare disease, so I'm a caregiver as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for introducing yourself. My name is Padma Gordon, and I am facilitating this workshop. And we're glad that you're here. So, we're about to meditate, so you can make yourself comfortable. And we'll just do a nice, deeply relaxing meditation because part of spiritual self care is relaxing and taking care of yourself just by setting everything else aside and turning your attention inside, which for rare mothers is not always practiced because there's so much caregiving and so much awareness going outside. So, this is the practice of turning your attention inside. So, we'll meditate for about 7 minutes. So, just beginning by allowing your body to get settled. Settle into your seat and feel how you're being held and supported in this moment. That this is time for you to let go, for you as a rare mother, as a caregiver, to offer some care to yourself. Just letting the body begin to relax. Letting the eyelids be heavy. The muscles in the face can soften. And just by breathing, see if you can allow a gentle wave of relaxation to flow down your body. Bringing your mindful awareness to yourself. Breathing and noticing what is happening in your body right now. And if the mind wants to wander, going into the past or the future, thinking about things that you have to do. Just see what it would be like to return your attention to this moment. Sensing yourself. And you might even allow yourself to receive this question. What do I need right now? What do I need right now? Allowing yourself to receive the answer. It might come in words or images, or it might be a feeling. It might also be a question that is somewhat foreign to you. Or it might be one you ask yourself each day. What do I need right now? And see if you can make room to receive the answer. Softening through your heart, the space around your heart in your chest. Just take your time. Take a breath. I'm going to read you a poem, so you're welcome to leave your eyes closed if you would like, and just let the words wash over you. This is by Ellen Bass from her book. It's called Like a Beggar. I love this poem. It's called Relax. Bad things are going to happen. Your tomatoes will grow a fungus, and your cat will get run over. Someone will leave the bag with the ice cream melting in the car and throw your blue cashmere sweater in the dryer. Your husband will sleep with a girl your daughter's age, her breasts spilling out of her blouse, or your wife will remember she's a lesbian and leave you for the woman next door. The other cat, the one you never really liked, will contract a disease that requires you to pry open its feverish mouth every 4 hours. Your parents will die, no matter how many vitamins you take, how much Pilates. You'll lose your keys, your hair, and your memory. If your daughter doesn't plug her heart into every live socket she passes, you'll come home to find your son has emptied the refrigerator, dragged it to the curb, and called the used appliance store for pickup. Drug money. The Buddha tells a story of a woman chased by a tiger. When she comes to a cliff, she sees a sturdy vine and climbs halfway down. But there's also a tiger below, and 2 mice, one white, one black, scurry out and begin to gnaw at the vine. At this point, she notices a wild strawberry growing from a crevice. She looks up, down at the mice, then she eats the strawberry. So here's the view, the breeze, the pulse in your throat. Your wallet will be stolen. You'll get fat, slip on the bathroom tiles in a foreign hotel, and crack your hip. You'll be lonely. Oh, taste how sweet and tart the red juice is, how the tiny seeds crunch between your teeth. That poem is called Relax by Ellen Bass. So from here, I'd love for us to just take a few minutes and journal and answer the question, what do I need right now? Or see, what is your response to that question? What do I need right now? Is that a question that feels comfortable to you or uncomfortable? Are you allowed to ask yourself that question? So just take maybe 5 minutes and then we'll join back together. What do I need right now? And if anything else comes up for you, if something came up in the meditation or something touched you in the poem, feel free to journal about that. This is for you. You don't need to read it or share it unless you choose to. So just taking a little bit more time to finish up, and then we'll come back together and hear from you and what's moving in you and how you're doing. So I'm curious if you want to come back into the space, what's moving in you, and how was it to even allow yourself to receive that question? What do I need right now?
I,
Hey, Catherine.
well, that poem was a doozy. That was really interesting. It was nice to hear uh, all the things that would go wrong. It's like you don't even have to worry. Like they're going to happen. You know,
Pretty much.
the stuff's gonna happen.
Yep.
So enjoy the strawberry.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I liked it because there was a lot of drama, a lot of high drama for me in that poem. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the question, "What do I need right now?" The first word I wrote was mystifying. Like that's kind of a mystifying question to me,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I tend to think that it's a very grand plan. Like I need a very grand plan to follow. I need a lot of help and I need a lot of structure and I need everything to be better and different than it is. And,
Mm.
like that, when I first hear it, I'm like, oh, I need, an architect I don't mean like literally for my house. I just mean like I need a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started writing, I was writing about, I need a balance between this sort of like productivity side and the kind of peaceful, um, the sort of peaceful healing, acceptance, comfort, gratitude side. Like if I feel like all those go together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the productivity side is like includes like competition and anticipation and drive and goals and striving.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only word that I had similar in the two is observation. And so I realized like they both have observation. So maybe what I need right now is a calm faith in my observation, to grab a
Mm.
little from one side or grab a little from the other side and not, maybe I don't need a master plan. Maybe I don't have to have it all figured out right now of how my life will be best.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that felt a little better. I need
Sounds
to
like
have faith, faith.
trusting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Faith and
trust. Yeah.
trust.
Yeah, trust is a good word. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. And how does that relate to your son? Does that have a relationship to your son having faith or trust or letting things unfold?
Yeah, definitely. I just was realizing that I try to make really like small plans for the future. Like this week, I'm going to do this many things with him and this kind of things, and not plan really far. Not have a plan for the next few years. Just,
Hmm.
oh, sorry, Anita.
Oh,
I'm sorry, something's just come up from work, so I have to go.
okay.
I'll try and join another one later. It's hard sometimes to do that when it's during work hours, so I apologize. I really do.
Right.
Sorry.
I know, I understand. Well, I'm glad that you came for a moment.
Yeah,
Do you want to say anything before you go, or do you have to jump off?
I no, I think what I wrote down again and again is that I need to stop worrying, and things are
Mm,
going to happen, and you do find solutions in the end, but the worry doesn't make it any better. So it's better not to worry and just concentrate on the solutions.
yes, that's so true. It's
So
so true because worrying is very costly.
right.
It's very draining, and it creates stress hormones in our bodies and takes us. And also, the worrying is really fear of the future.
Yeah, and it doesn't take away. It takes time away from finding solutions, I find. So I wrote the word worry and try and see if I can take that out of my thinking, and concentrate more on solutions.
How will you take, excuse me, how will you take worry out of your thinking? What's a practice you can do or a way that you can catch yourself in your kind of going down the path of worry?
I think communication is what comes to mind next. I need to communicate with my immediate family who is part of the worry,
Mm.
and maybe talking it out will lead to a solution rather than keeping it in.
Hmm. Communication is so key. So, how will you know when it's time to speak up?
That I haven't figured out yet. One step at a time, I guess. But yeah, you
That,
have to find the right moment. So
and also, how do you know that you need to speak up? Like, what's the feeling that you get inside?
I think that butterfly feeling you get when you worry all the
Hmm.
time
Hmm.
is an indication of when you need to do something about it. And so whether it be communication, whether it be meditation, maybe
Hmm.
going for professional help. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, well, it sounds like you're on track, and I would support you in just as you notice that butterfly feeling, stop and feel it. Stop and feel it and be like, what's really going on here? Oh, this is scary. Because usually there's some, as you said, there's some action needed. And then once you feel it, you kind of from a more regulated place, you can make a choice. Do this, move this way, move that way. So,
Great.
yeah.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Especially that.
Come anytime. We're here at this time.
We'll try. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye. Good to have people for as long as they can be here. Does any of that resonate with you, Catherine, about the worry?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh, we have a little noise going on in the background. Yeah, yeah, the worry is really interesting. And that's kind of what the poem was saying to me. Like, we can worry that things are going to go wrong. But when I'm saying, oh, this happened again, it's like, well, it happened again. Like, I could have realized that was going to happen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So worrying about, like, there's planning and preparing are kind of a better function than worry. And then letting go is kind of a better function than worrying. And
Yeah.
then observing and responding from a slightly planned place, like, oh, okay, I decided that when that happened again, I was going to do this, like I can remember driving around in my car with my kids and they'd be fighting and I'd just get so upset. And finally I like thought about it. And I was like, well, this happens. Like, pretty
All the
frequently.
time.
Right. Yeah.
Kids in the back seat always fight, don't they?
This
I
is
mean, it's
not,
sort of how it is.
yeah, this is going to happen again. And so, sorry, there's a lot going on here. So yeah, so I realized at one point, I was like, this isn't good for me to be driving in this situation. And so I started to just like, I would pull over and stop driving. And then if it was really bad, I'd pull over and I'd like get out of the car. And they'd be like,
Nice.
wait, come back. And I'm like, no, go ahead and finish. Like, I'm fine. Yeah, you guys
That's
finish.
great. That's awesome.
They were like, come back. And
They're
I was
like, Mom, where are you going?
like, no, I was like, no, I'm like, I'm not leaving you. I was like, I'm right here. I'm right on the side of this, I'm right on the curb. Like, I'm not leaving you. I just need you to finish. So I can't do this. Like, it's not safe. It's not safe for any of us. So,
Yeah, that's a great example.
but the worry, it's like the worry would start when it doesn't just happen all at once, right? There's like little things, there's little signs. You can tell when it's coming because of everybody's moods and behaviors and words. And so,
So what do you do? Because if you can tell when it's coming, right? It's kind of like here, in California or anywhere, if all of a sudden there's going to be a rainstorm, right? Which we're not having a rainstorm now, but we could eventually have a rainstorm. Um, you bring your outdoor cushions in, right? You do what you need to do because you see the storm clouds coming, you hear it, you're like, oh, and you're in Seattle, so it definitely rains up there. So, you make preparations, or in places where there are hurricanes or, things, they're coming. And so then you respond. You don't really worry about it. You're just like, okay, got to do something about this. You know, taking your energy, it just feels like what you talked about and Nita talked about is just really conserving our energy. I mean, I love that you just got out of the car. You're like, no, you just finish what you're doing. It's so wise to that's a system interrupt. Oh, I know this isn't good for me. Same with worry. I know this isn't good for me. I know I don't have to keep doing it. I know it's relatively pointless. And so I'm just going to get out of the car. It's like get out of the anxiety car and just be kind to yourself and realize what you need. That's so good also because you realized, oh, you asked yourself consciously or unconsciously with the kids fighting in the back of the car, what do I need? I need to pull over. I need to get out. I don't like this. This is not working for me. And so that's really what we need to do in our lives. And I mean, you could talk about how that applies to, your rare child, right? Because rare mothers worry about their rare children for good reason.
yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of the stress for me was around trying to make our life fit the way we had it kind of planned out. And
Mm.
it just wasn't working very well. And the behaviors were getting bigger and bigger, and the therapies were helping less and less. And, there was like, but you don't feel like you can stop doing therapies because that's what everyone tells you to do. And it's just a lot of stress, it's a lot of stress. And like with my son, all the early intervention stuff is so, you're told it's so important because early intervention is going to change things. It didn't change anything. I mean, maybe how he is now could have been worse, but he certainly didn't, catch up at all. There's no, there, maybe he could have stagnated a little less, but it's a,
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting paradigm of do this so this outcome will happen. And then when the outcome's not happening, it's just like, well, why are we doing this? And what's the point? And who's this helping? And, who's this hurting?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's hard to know.
Hmm.
So I guess I had a lot of worry, like, this feels like maybe this setup I have is wrong, but I'm worried to not do it too.
Mm-hmm.
You're worried to
Oh,
do
that's
it. You're worried to
interesting.
not do it. You're worried just about everything. And, um, yeah. And you're worried about missing the nice moments because you're worried, it's like,
Mm.
it's like pretty all around worry.
Wow.
So,
That's potent. Worried about missing the nice moments because you're worried.
yeah.
Hmm. So how did you ground yourself into the nice moments? Were you able to?
Oh yeah. A lot of times. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just, I mean, for me, just being around the kids in certain moments is very grounding. I mean, in certain moments you're like, tearing my hair out, but in certain moments they're also very grounding, right? Like they're these pure, awesome little kids that just bring you to your heart right away. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so I'm not saying every moment's like that. It's not, but that just because it's not like that all the time doesn't mean it's not like that some of the time. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, just just watching them enjoy a popsicle, like sometimes there's just
Yeah.
something so simple. There's just
Mm-hmm.
something so simple. It's so beautiful and so
Mm-hmm.
relaxing and gratifying. There's all these gratifying moments as a mom when, you feed your kids and food is something they like and food is something that
Mm-hmm.
is helpful. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of gratifying moments around food or around just comfort, if they're sad and need a hug or hurt and need a band-aid or anything like that, like those sort of caring, sort of just stereotypical caring moments are
Mm-hmm.
really nice for connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with the rare child, you have to offer them, well, not you have to, but it's what's needed is to offer them a lot of care. And so, how to be really present as you're offering what is admittedly, a boatload of care, even
Mm-hmm.
more than a child who doesn't have a rare disease. And you have
Yeah,
both, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think the interesting thing about my rare child is that I was much more worried when I was not with him. Like when I wasn't with him, I was worried about his future. I was worried about, you know, his progress. I was worried about lots of things. But when I was with him, I was a lot less worried just because I found him. So like not all the time. It's not like I was always fine when I was with him because we certainly had plenty of terrible moments too. But when I when I had the most peace was when I was with him. Like when I was just with him, enjoying him is when I had
Mm-hmm.
by far the most peace. And
Mm-hmm.
when I wasn't with him was when I had the most kind of upset. Now that doesn't mean there weren't sometimes when I was with him, I was worried. Like if we were at the park for a while and trying to play in the sand and like it could be I could work pretty hard. I could work pretty hard at trying to engage him and trying to get him out of his shell and get him to do back and forth interactions with me or do something that seemed meaningful with a shovel and a pail or like I would work pretty hard at it and when it wasn't going well you could be happy for a little while and then finally you're like, oh my gosh, this is exhausting and this is not going anywhere and what am I doing wrong? Will he ever develop? And
Mm-hmm.
so it can get pretty awful but
Mm-hmm.
but some of the time though I was also able to just sit there and be like, well, I'm just going to sit here, you're doing what you're doing, I'm just going to sit here. And it
Yes.
could be kind of nice too,
Yes.
it could be kind of peaceful and
Mm-hmm.
he was, you know, he looks sort of angelic, and you know, it was like, it's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
So
think that's a really important point. You know, acceptance of what your child can and can't do. I mean, this is really one of the keys. It's like, okay, this is what's happening. You're going to do what you can do. You can't really use the shovel, and that's all right. I wish you could, but you can't. And so you're
mhm,
just doing what you're doing. You're just maybe moving the sand around a little or pouring the sand on your legs, or you know, whatever you're doing. You just, or you're just sit, or your child is just sitting staring into space, or can't even sit up for some, you know, in some cases,
mhm,
and is just like resting on you and just being there. And so I feel like this is really one of the ways to enjoy your rare child and to enjoy your life, is to just sit back and say, okay, I'm just being with this now. I'm being with this. And how can I, you know, what do I need in this moment? Let me give myself what I need in this moment. Oh, I need to just drop in. I need to just settle down because my child's doing what they're doing and is unable to do what they're unable to do. And I just feel like the more we can be that way with ourselves and each other, and especially with a rare child, or a child who doesn't have a rare disease, you know, if you, when children, kids go through being teenagers, if they get there, it gets harder in different ways. And so can we, as mothers and rare mothers or caregivers, just be there, be like, okay, this is what you're capable of right now, this is what I'm capable of right now. It seems like it's one of the most freeing options, is to just really assess our capacity. Oh, this is my capacity in this moment, and this is my rare child's capacity in this moment. And can I be with that? Because the worry and the struggle and the strife create a feeling of dis-ease inside, because I can't relax when I'm struggling with it. And relaxing with it as it is can be pretty challenging. And yet, there's such freedom in being able to go, all right, so how do we do that? For me, coming back, because we're on this theme of kind of mindful awareness and somatic awareness, is low. Let me just settle into myself. Let me settle. That's why in the meditation, settle and then just make room in this, actually the space in your chest, kind of softening the space in your chest, and say, all right, let me just make room for this. It might not be pleasant, it might be uncomfortable, and yet I'm making room for it. Like as I'm here, and I don't know if you could hear, I'm thinking that you can't hear, my partner was on a meeting with work and talking so loud. He talks very loud. He's gone to a lot of concerts in his youth. And, you know, he's on a stand-up meeting with his work and he's talking so loud. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make room for him to talk loud and be in his thing and do his thing. And I'm up here doing my thing. And so that it's like the small moments of when I can go, oh, I just want him to like turn the volume down, or oh, I want my child to be different. It's these moments where it's like this expansion, where that question of like, oh, what do I need? Oh, I need to chill. I need to relax. I need to put my thoughts down that someone should be different than they are. That's really a key thing. And sometimes I like to think about this. If you're, Catherine and I are old enough to remember these, what were they called? It was like a viewfinder thing where you turn it and the wheel would go around and there was a little circle and slides. And so if you think about, or just films, if you take that out and you just set it aside, this is the thought. things should be different. I'm just gonna take it out. So you could actually, even in a given moment, if you find yourself looping with a thought, or you know getting stuck on a thought, you just gripping it in your teeth like a pit bull and not being able to put it down. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna like take that out and set it aside. I'm just gonna set it aside, and then I'm making room, because what I need, if I'm tight, if I'm worried, if I'm wanting things to be different, what do I need? I need to make room for myself to relax. The world is as it is, just as Ellen Bass said. We're going to get fat, we're going to fall down, things are going to happen, betrayals are going to happen, disease absolutely happens. You know, my father recently got lost. They're in a new place and he got lost. He couldn't follow a GPS 7/10 of a mile home. This is new. It's like, oh, let's accept that. He's only 80 years old. So things are going to happen. This is a brilliant man. He was a doctor for 50 years. So what are you taking from this right now?
Well, I just wrote down the making space for myself. I think that's a really good reminder for me. That's a phrasing that doesn't even quite make sense to me. Like, that's how unfamiliar it is. And I know, like, logically, I understand what you're saying, but just in my body, when I think of doing that, it's like I'm not quite sure. I mean, to me, I would just sit and breathe and try to, clear out my thoughts so that I could make space for what I was feeling, and maybe try to, just scan my body and see what it felt like. That's probably how I would approach it. But it seems like just even having to say all those steps means that I'm not totally comfortable with it yet, right? Like,
well, at least
which steps do I do?
Well, you know the steps anyway. That's
Yeah.
a good sign. You know the steps. That's good news. It's like, oh, you know the steps. Okay. So if you know the steps, you can take the steps. If you don't even know the steps, I mean, that's part of the usefulness of gathering, is we get to review the steps. We get to learn new steps. We get to discover other ways of navigating based on based on what's shows up in the community. So I would give yourself credit, and I would ask yourself that question, like, what does it mean to make space for myself? Because what is it that I need right now? That could easily morph into, how do I make space for myself? What do I need right now? And it is, I mean, I'm glad to hear you say, it's unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar to ask that question, and I can imagine that
it
for
feels like
their
a
mothers, it would be like a far out question. Where do I even put that question? That question's not even on my map.
Yeah. To me, it's like doing a tennis serve. Like, I don't play tennis. I mean, I've tried playing tennis a little bit, and I've tried serving, and it's like really hard. And you watch people do it, and you're like, oh, they know how to do that.
Right.
That's
Easy.
pretty cool. And then you try, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's all the timing and all the body parts moving, and it's like, it just feels so awkward.
Yeah.
And the ball doesn't really go, ball like slams down on your side of the net. It's like,
yeah, that's right. It takes practice. Exactly. It takes practice.
So that's where I feel with it. It's like, I feel like I kind of know what you're talking about, but it's not super comfortable or effective.
Makes sense. Sounds like definitely something to practice, and in our lives, we have so many opportunities to practice making room for ourselves. And sometimes in my experience, a lot of times it invites us, it means we need to slow down. That's what I find. slow down, feel, see what I need. And the trick, and what many of us do, myself included at times, is we override. We're just like, well, I have to do that. Let me just stick with the program. I have to do that. I'm going to go do that. My child needs that. I have to do that. And at least sometimes, is there that space to ask yourself, what do I need? Even for a moment before I go and I tend to someone else, if that's what's needed. Because often it is, as mothers, rare mothers, and, largely women managing households, although there are many men who are also managing households and taking care, who are people of any gender. So, yeah, I feel like that's one of the big pieces for us, is to make space, really make room for yourself. And to even add that into, you might want to write that down, stick it on a post-it note, and just remember about it, review it. I feel like the things that are in our visual field tend to get in there. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add, Catherine, or anything you want to add for what you're taking away? Nothing, Paige. Anything from you, Catherine? What's your takeaway?
I think the observation piece is my kind of my sort of coming back to myself piece. It's just observing, whether it's observing the surroundings or observing myself, to know what to do next. So
Great.
And that observation is going to help me with what do I need now, and it's going to help me make room for myself. Like just observing that I'm here is partly attention. I mean, because I am here, right? I am sitting here. It's like kind of testable. You guys can see me, and I'm
you're
someone
here,
can poke me,
there.
like I'm right here. Yeah,
you're right there.
But that doesn't mean
you register it.
I just pay attention to it.
Yeah. It's that really letting it in. I love that. Just observing. Where am I right now? What am I doing right now? Self-observation is so crucial, and it can be really hard to do when we're tending to outside, to others, to our children, rare children, partners, husbands, wives. Yeah, it's great. And using the awareness of sensation in the observation process. Let me just observe. Oh, I'm tight. My shoulders are up. Or, oh, I'm gripping in my jaw. Oh, let me just relax here. Or, oh, I just finished a big project. Let me take 5 or 10 minutes and just rest. Drink some water. Do what I need to do. So, wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. It's really lovely to be with you. And I will look forward to, welcome. I look forward to seeing you next week. All right.
That's good. Thanks, you guys.
Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful day.